Okay, so this video is late, and I'm not even talking about just putting on the final touches. I mean that I'm quite literally starting the script in late January. I know I should have been making this video at the same time as the fall one, but to be honest, I just didn't have any desire to. My fall anime video is probably the least thought out anime video I've made so far, and I wasn't really happy with it. And I didn't want the whole year video to turn out the same way, so even though it's coming out pretty late, it's coming out better than it would have come out. My plan going forward is to try to get a minimum of 5 videos out per year, 1 for each anime season, and the overall year video, and I'm hoping to raise the bar of quality for each one. And whenever my winter 2022 video comes out, honestly it'll probably be pretty soon after this one, I hope you'll be able to see improvements and changes in the style and quality of the video. But that's besides the point. 2021 was a great year for anime. I'm gonna do this list a bit different from how other people do it, so instead of having a top 10, top 15 type of deal, I want to list out my favorite anime from a couple different genres. Obviously it's not going to be every single genre, but I hope these genres are able to cover a lot of different kinds of anime. And then I'll end it with my anime of the year. If you've watched all of my seasonal videos, you'll probably already have an idea as to what I'm going to say, but without further ado, let's get into it. I honestly don't even know what genre to put Attack on Titan into, but there is no way that I could make a year overview video without mentioning it. While calling Shounen a genre is very common, Seinen isn't normally seen as one. This is for a pretty good reason, as while Shounen has a very clearly defined formula, Seinen is much more up to interpretation of what makes a Seinen. But for my purposes, I'm just going to say it's a gritty, mature show, which is exactly what Attack on Titan is. There aren't many shows that have done as much as Attack on Titan, hence why it's probably the biggest anime franchise out there right now. And while the action scenes are a bit lackluster compared to Wit's adaptation, Mappa's adaptation is also really good. It's kind of hard to talk about Final Season Part 1 in isolation as Final Season Part 2 is currently airing, but I do still remember that the story and plot of Part 1 were great. You know, it's a recipe so good that it's kind of hard to fuck up. As long as Mappa just keeps telling the story that Isayama wrote, it seems like we're just going to consistently get a really good show. Final Season Part 1 established a mood and set up a story that was very different to the one that was previously told, but it all made logical and narrative sense. The characters underwent huge changes as well, with the most notable being the Mikasa nerf. All that aside, I think the whole anime community have never been more compelled by a series, and as somebody who already knows how Part 2 is going, I'm praying that it sticks to the landing. Jujutsu Kaisen. That's all you need to know. Like, how the fuck is any shonen supposed to compete with this absolute chat of a show? While the story wasn't that deep, while it wasn't that original, Jujutsu Kaisen knew what it was and delivered on it. Unlike in AOTY, Mappa said, we come with the action, and they came with it. The whole show, second core especially, had amazing fights every single episode, and each and every single fight was different, felt special, and hype as fuck. There are a lot of shonen that either pander way too hard to shonen tropes or try too hard to be different, but Jujutsu Kaisen just gives you consistent, solid shonen. No bullshit. Just fights and cool characters. To be fair, there wasn't much competition in the shonen category this year, but I think that Jujutsu Kaisen would still win in most years anyway. When I stack it up against all the shonen I've seen, the only show which I feel beats it by a significant margin is Hunter x Hunter, which not only gets nostalgia points from me, but also has the advantage of being 140 something episodes long. Jujutsu Kaisen didn't give me any special feelings, special emotions, but that doesn't discount how good it was, especially if we're just narrowing it down to the lens of a shonen. Alright, so while a lot of shonen are action series, I wanted to pick a show that was an action series, but not a shonen. And Vivy is exactly that. It's not a shonen, but it's an action series through and through. It doesn't follow the shonen formula. The animation goes crazy every single episode. Doesn't matter if there's a big fight or not. I mean, Wit really just flexed on everybody with this. I don't know if you've watched Vivy, but, you know, it's just a complete package. It's got a beginning and end, and all around was just a genuinely great experience. What stuck out to me the most, however, was the music. Vivi, the main character, is an idol android, and as expected, she sings because that's what most idols do. Because of this, the music was a pretty large focus on the plot, and it showed with every single one of the vocal songs. I have a soft spot when it comes to music, and for me, good music can easily elevate a show from being good to really good. I remember in the months after watching Vivi, I continued listening to the songs over and over again, and a couple of them are still on my most commonly listened to playlists. Fruits Basket is an anime I've watched simulcast start to end, and I couldn't be happier with the result. It is a very solid show through and through, and while there are a lot of elements at play within the story that create suspense, drama, and tension, at the end of the day, this show's a romance. It's very difficult to present a relationship as something that feels real and tangible, and Fruit Basket's ability to present multiple relationships in a multifaceted, deep, and believable way sucked me into the plot faster than your mom sucked my— Oh really? While watching media is generally done to have fun, watching a show for the emotion it gives you is the real reason as to why I personally watch media in the first place. Whenever a show gives me something more than pure enjoyment, whenever I feel as though I've taken something valuable away from that show, it will stick with me. Fruits Basket was the first anime that I watched where I didn't like it just because I liked watching cool anime characters fighting. The very heavy emotional undertones were new to me, and yeah, dramatic at times, but I was still drawn to it nonetheless. Once I realized I could enjoy shows like this, I went on to watch some absolutely amazing shows that I wouldn't have even given a second glance before. I owe Fruits Basket so much, not only for further opening the gate to the anime world, but also genuinely inspiring me and giving me a new appreciation for my life, my family, and the world. I'm not ashamed to say that watching the end of Toru's journey made me tear up. Fruits Basket, the final, was an excellent conclusion to the series, and I'll definitely always remember this show. Now yeah, Fruits Basket did have slice of life components and all of that, but it also had other elements that made it a bit different than just being your average slice out of somebody's life. The Aquatope on White Sand, on the other hand, was just that, a slice from the lives of two girls. Generally, I don't really enjoy slice of life, it's normally way too slow paced, but PA Works has generally been pretty good at keeping them interesting somehow. Rather than it just being about happy girls doing happy things, we witness these girls at their highs, their lows, we experience their joys and insecurities, and through watching all of these things happen, through watching their lives, we sympathize with them, because we've essentially experienced the same things that they have. For me, this is what makes slice of life interesting. It's when the hook is not magic, it's not some crazy drama plot point, it's just the fact that you are watching somebody else's life unfold and seeing how they react to the everyday challenges that so many people in our world experience. This show does this concept amazingly well, which is why it has such success in sending a message to us, the viewer, because in many ways we're very similar to Kukuru and Fuka, because they really are just ordinary people. Don't give up, follow your dreams, you are not alone. These are very cheesy messages, but the show integrates them so cleverly into its plot and script that they don't even feel cheesy because they are woven directly into the fabric of the show. Without these messages, this show wouldn't exist, these characters wouldn't exist, and this is why the show was able to have an impact on me despite just being your everyday slice of life. I talked briefly about shows being more than just pure enjoyment, and Aquatope definitely makes that list. I don't know what it is about PA Works, but they seem to have some secret formula that works on me every time. Sunny Boy Special. Out of all of the shows I'm talking about today, it's probably the least popular and definitely the most underrated. I'm not even sure what to say about Sunny Boy because there's so little I can compare it to, yet so much to talk about. Starting from the art style alone, this show's Madhouse, but it doesn't look like Madhouse at all. When you say Madhouse, I'm like, okay, that's sort of what I expect, but Sunny Boy looks like this. But since it's Madhouse, it's still stunning. The art style combines with the music to create this atmosphere that is steeped in surrealism, which is a good fit because this show as a whole is just that, surreal. The plot, the characters, the messages, the world, everything about it is so convoluted, yet at the end of it somehow manages to make sense. I don't want to compare it to anything because I don't think you can, but a show that had a similar effect on me was Fooly Cooly. I'm not saying it was, comparable or similar to Fooly Cooly, because it's not. But presenting messages in such a convoluted, unique, and interesting way is something that these two shows do masterfully, and it's why understanding those messages feels so much better than just being told what the message is. Sunny Boy will never be popular. It just won't be. It's weird, unique, artistic, and that's not really what's in demand for the general public. I'm not putting Sunny Boy as an anime of the year, and I'm not going to say that much about it because I need a lot more time to properly collect my thoughts on it. But if you ask me what anime made me think the most, made me reflect the most, I would say it was probably Sunny Boy. Alright, so Link Click is an absolute banger. I know I may be biased because I'm learning Chinese, but oh my god, I don't think I binged a show harder this season. Some parts of the storytelling is rough around the edges, but as a cohesive whole, Link Click delivers using primarily captivating writing. It's got a banging opening, great visuals, good voice acting.
你有什么要问的吗？这两个人的名字叫什么？
And if you're put off by the Chinese, there's also a Japanese dub. I don't know if it's good. And most importantly, it's just an intriguing concept. Intriguing concepts are pretty few and far between. If I like an anime to food, the vast majority of it is a buffet, where everything in the show is stuff you've already seen, and you already know what you like and don't. As a result, you're probably going to enjoy yourself because you know what to pick and what to avoid. So whenever there's shows that take a concept and twist it in a way that is fresh, deliver on that fresh concept, there's nothing that comes close. Don't get me wrong, I love my buffets, but you can't beat that one innovative, pristine dish that you discover. I don't really know why I'm using food as an analogy, but all you need to know is that Link Click takes time travel and makes it interesting again. Time travel is one of the most overdone tropes in media, not just in anime. But the way in which time travel is carried out in Link Click allows it to explore ideas that are otherwise unexplored. Say, instead of just going back to the past, and oh no, I need to avoid my past self, how about you become another person in the past and feel all their feelings, think all of their thoughts? How would you feel, as somebody from the future who knows if something bad is going to happen to that person, about the fact that you can't do anything to save, essentially the person that you are? I never thought I'd be saying this, but my favorite show of last year was an isekai. Fuck. I feel like the general issue with isekais is just how much they're reiterated on one another. Concepts that would need to be explained if it were a normal show get completely skipped over because the assumption is that if you're watching isekai, you know the formula, and since you know the formula, they're able to shorten the world building and adapt more of the source material in fewer episodes and get that cash. But Mushoku Tensei didn't do any of this. In Mushoku Tensei, the main character reincarnates as a baby, and this is going to be the put-off for many people, the main character. Because while he may look like this in the world, he's really this guy. And anytime he does anything questionable, all you can think about is who is in the mind of this cheeky kid, and it's this fucking guy. So it's not really that surprising, but it's nonetheless off-putting. Honestly, even more so. But to me, the fact that the series doesn't let you forget about who the main character had been in their past life is what makes it feel, as an isekai, special. Rudy's old self is ever present, as whenever he's thinking, his voice is not that of Rudius, but his old adult self. There are so many isekai in which the past life of the protagonist is referred to maybe once, or not at all, because let's face it, the real world sucks, and if you're self-inserting, then you don't want to be barraged by flashbacks from that world. Just try though. Try to self-insert into Rudius. You cannot. I don't generally self-insert anyway, because that's not why I consume media. I definitely prefer it being told like a story, but just the thought of trying to view Rudy as myself is terrifying. And yet, for isekai, it feels like such a fresh take, despite it being the progenitor for all of the tropes it popularized. I feel like when people took the ideas that Mushoku Tensei presented, they forgot to take what makes Mushoku Tensei special, and that's the fact that Rudy cannot escape who he was in the past, that the world is a harsh place no matter what world you may be in. And can we talk about animation? Jesus Christ, this show is beautiful. The studio behind Mushoku Tensei is newly formed, and their sole goal is to adapt all of Mushoku Tensei, and I could not be more excited for them to go and do that. This is my anime of the year, and it beat out a lot of really good shows, but that's just because Mushoku Tensei is just cracked at everything. Storytelling, animation, music, premise, message, characters. I said earlier that Vivi was a complete package. Well, Mushoku Tensei is the package. So yeah, I really liked it.